Hello and welcome to 1000 Word Interviews. My name's Mordecai and today I'm joined by my grandfather Bill. Thank you so much for speaking with us today, Bill.
You're welcome.
First of all, Bill, could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Well, I was born in Texas and I graduated from university there and majored in journalism. So then when I finished university, I went to Turkey and taught English for 3 years. And that was the start of my love of teaching English.
Yeah.
Because I've always loved that language, fancied that I could be a writer. I had fair success as a newspaper writer. Anyway, then in 1974, I came to Australia with my wife and 2.5 children. And we settled here in Adelaide, lived here and I got a very successful job teaching journalism half-time and taking care of a group of overseas students whose English was pretty poor and needed some help at part of the University of South Australia.
Wow. So, sorry, Bill, to interrupt. You mentioned that when you came to Australia in 1974, you said you had 2.5 children.
Yeah.
What do you mean, 2.5?
What does it mean?
Wow.
Where is the half?
I guess maybe...
It's in its mother's womb.
Okay. So Sylvia, your wife, was pregnant.
That's exactly right. So we have 4 children. That one is our second daughter, and your mother's was our first. And we adopted a boy, Adrian, after your mother, and then we had a fourth child, our second son, Reuben, here in 1985.
Okay, well, fantastic, and thanks for sharing the first part of your story.
Okay.
Today,
Yeah.
we're going to speak about a photo of yours that's important to you.
Okay.
And we're going to hear more of your story and learn a little bit more about you.
Okay.
Okay, so first question, could you describe what we can see in this photo?
Well, you can see an old couple holding hands, standing in the middle of a field of wildflowers in somewhat hilly terrain. It's not dead flat, but it's hilly. There's some beautiful blue sky and some trees in the background, and that's my mother and father standing in a field of bluebonnets, which are the state flower of Texas.
Fantastic. And Bill, could you describe a little bit more about the physical appearance of the two people in the photo? What do they look like?
Well, what hair they have is white. My dad turned bald as a fairly young man, and I was scared to death when I was a kid that I was going to be bald when I grew up. And how was a guy going to get a girlfriend and think of anybody to marry me if I was bald? And I was so relieved that the baldness comes from your mother's side of the family. And if her brothers and sisters had hair, well, they're brothers, then you wouldn't be bald. You would have hair. So I was greatly relieved about that. Anyway, I think my parents set a really good example for me, staying married so long, well past 50 years. My dad lived to be almost 95 and my mom almost 92 before they passed away.
Wow. So I guess the next question is, you may have already mentioned this, but where was this photo taken?
In Central Texas.
Okay.
Near my parents' retirement home, which was about 160 kilometers, just about due north and maybe a little bit northwest of San Antonio.
Okay.
In the famous Texas Hill Country. I say famous because that's where President Lyndon Johnson came from.
Okay.
I used to talk about the Texas Hill Country.
Okay. So just to repeat, it's in Texas, in the state of Texas?
Yes.
In the hills near where your parents lived at the time.
Yeah.
More or less.
Exactly.
Okay. And Bill, next question. When was this photo taken?
I don't know the date, but I would suggest it was probably sometime in the mid to late 1980s.
Okay.
Because you see, the state flower, the bluebonnet, is so important that my parents thought it was really important that each of their children had a color photograph of bluebonnets. That's the important to them. That's what's important to in this photo, not them.
Okay,
You know?
that's interesting.
Yeah.
And okay, so just to repeat, probably in the late 80s.
Yeah.
You would guess, but you're not sure.
Not sure exactly.
Yeah, that's all right. Now, you definitely already mentioned this, Bill, but I'm going to ask you again.
Okay.
Who are these two people in the photo?
They are my parents, Carlton Ray Barnes and Norma Shorlimer Barnes.
Okay, so the man on the right is called,
Ray?
yeah, and the woman on the left,
Well, she went by Norma.
Norma.
I mean, grandma to the grandkids, and dad was grandpa to the grandkids.
Perfect. So, finally, Bill, why have you chosen this photo? Why is it important to you, and what's the story behind it? You've already told us a few things about your parents.
Yep.
But is there something else you'd like to mention?
Well, I think that it's important that my parents are in this photo. I've got other photos of my parents as well, but they, that they love the Blue-Bonnets and that terrain and the place where they lived. They loved each other. They set a great example for all their children. My older brother and I were the only ones that followed their example from having one marriage throughout our whole adult lives, and that was it. But anyway, they were honest, thrifty, hardworking, hard saving, and set a terrific example.
Okay.
My dad, incidentally, became very good at Spanish, as you learned Spanish.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. My mother's first language was German, and I'm very proud of my half-German heritage.
Thank you so much for sharing a photo of your parents and
You're
all the
welcome.
bluebells and taking the time to speak to me this morning.
Blue-Bonnets.
Blue-Bonnets. Blue-Bonnets. Okay, that's right.
Well,
Blue-Bonnets.
there is a flower called a bluebell, but it's okay.
No, these ones are blue-bonnets.
These are.
Okay. Well, thank you again. It's been
Okay.
good fun and taking the time to speak with us. And thank you all for watching. As always, you can find all of the questions and answers from our conversation below in the description. I'll also include some of the new vocabulary and phrases from the conversation. And if you would like to practice your own English, either out loud or in writing, you can choose a photo of your own parents and answer the same questions however you would like. So thank you so much and see you next time.